The following presentation is a production of Ride the Wave Media.
Lean in and listen. You are now experiencing Limitless. Here's your host, Michelle Lena.
Lean in and listen with me, Michelle Lena. Welcome to Limitless. Today's episode is going to be a powerful episode. We dive into the often overlooked struggles of navigating an eating disorder, particularly how this really impacts the person living through it and other relationships, and how it can lead you down a path of self-discovery. Oftentimes when we are in the middle of something that we view as hard and challenging, those are often the most beautiful pieces in our life and helps us shift into one of the most beautiful stages in our life. And that is going to play out today on the episode of how this eating disorder really was a gift for her life, disguised in this really hard season. Have you ever felt like you are trapped in a cage of your own making? We discuss how to break free from those beliefs that are holding you back and uncover the keys of overcoming addiction-like symptoms. Join us as we share insightful strategies and heartfelt stories designed to inspire you and reclaim your life and embrace your new beginnings. Get ready for an eye-opening episode conversation that just might change your perspective on how you navigate the dark shadows in your life and how to break out of that cage that you put yourself in. We're going to get perspective on dating, self-discovery, and healing your life so you can live limitless. Today's guest is my dear friend, Sunie, and let me tell you a little bit more about her. I don't even know how long we've been friends for, but a hell of a long time. And we've gone through a lot of stuff together, but Sunie is really brilliant and giving and talented. And she's absolutely a woman that I wanted to have on the show. She's overcome so many incredible things in her life. But mainly what I really love about my friend Sunie is that she is authentic. And I think as we enter into this different season in life, this maybe ending season, the last great half of our life, you have become even more authentic and owning who you are and your identity and really blooming in a way that I just didn't know was even going to happen. I didn't think you needed to. I loved you before, but you have really transformed into this incredible, powerful, beautiful, quiet, confident woman. And that is one reason why I wanted to have you on my show. I love you, my dear friend. Everyone, please welcome to Limitless, my friend, Sunie Thomas.
Oh, thank you. Those are such sweet, kind words. Thank you.
Well, they were all real, and accept my gift. So, beautiful.
I'm taking it.
Well, I know time is precious, and you have a full life, and I understand the older I get, that time and energy is probably the most precious gift that you can give somebody. So thank you for giving me your time today. Thank you for giving me your energy today. And please just feel safe in the studio. It's just me and you. We're going to have a conversation and hopefully it will bless somebody else. But just breathe and let's just start telling stories. So
sounds good.
Where do you live right now? Kind of tell everyone, give me a little bit of history of who Sunie is and where you are. What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Okay, well, I live in southern Utah, St. George, Utah, one of the most beautiful places in the United States. Just so
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Yeah. And I've been here, 6 years, and I love it here. I work currently as a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. I thought I was going to focus more on women's mental health, but I've kind of got a variety, but I do see more women. I've been a nurse for many, many years, and I worked mother-baby, postpartum, and then for 10 years I worked as a lactation consultant. So people always say, well, how did you go from mother-baby and lactation all the way over into mental health? And I just say, you know what? You see a lot of crying moms.
Aww.
Right after having a baby, they're overwhelmed. They're like life-changing, new identity. They just, and breastfeeding is really hard. And so I was like, you know what? I'm ready to grow. I've done this part of my life and with nursing, and I need to grow because I'm starting to get bored and I need to do something that's a little bit uncomfortable. So I went back to school and got my master's and graduated in 2022. So I've been doing mental health for 2 years and I love it. Like I go home and I'm so happy. It's the most rewarding job I could ever do.
That is incredible. I think you said a couple of really good points. So owning your identity and changing things up and being able to transform or become a new person. You know, growth is what we're supposed to do as humans. We're supposed to adapt and change and overcome. But I think part of that is what you said. You have to own your identity first. And so you've had these different seasons. I've known you as a stay-at-home mom, and then you I don't know, what was the shift from even going stay-at-home mom? Because you went into nursing school, maybe not later, but it wasn't like fresh out of high school, I'm going to become a nurse. You were a young mother, and something shifted even then to say, I want to go to nursing school. So what pushed you into that position in the very first place to want to go into that?
So I was getting close to 30. I had just moved to Texas, and you know, from Utah to Texas, I feel like I was in a different country because I grew up in Utah and it's its own culture, and then you go to Texas and it's its own culture. And I was in a small town, very small. All we had was a Walmart, and I went through a really hard time. My youngest at that time was 2. I had some postpartum depression that I hadn't dealt with. I had gone on like this diet that I thought I'm going to lose all this weight, and I did, and I followed that thing. I'm a perfectionist, so I followed it to a T, which is not healthy, which led to some disordered eating, and then eventually an eating disorder. And there was a perfect storm. I always say, like, people that are led down either substance abuse or like an eating disorder, which I think they go hand in hand, addiction, it has to be a perfect storm. It's not just one thing that comes up and I can't handle it and this is how I handle it. It's usually multiple things: moving, postpartum depression, my parents got divorced, I had no friends. There was just a culmination of so many things, and I was in that for 10 years, and about 5 years in, I was like, you know what, I need help. Like, and I kept it a secret because there's so much shame that comes with addiction, eating disorders. Like, I look like I have my shit together. Like, I look like, you get dressed up every day, put my makeup on, no one knows. Just living the life of like pretend. And I was like, I need help. I didn't tell my husband, I didn't tell anyone. So I got online and I searched like eating disorder facilities, inpatient, and one popped up, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go to nursing school. I'm going to help people with what I have. And from that day on, I started the process. It took forever because I had 2 young kids and doing my prereqs and then into nursing school. And I was 5 years later of still in the eating disorder. I don't know how I went to nursing school and had an eating disorder. I don't know how I did it, but I did it.
Let's talk about that. This perfect storm, and looking back and labeling off all of the big things that you were going through, and they were large. The move, different culture, no friends, postpartum, and now we start with this eating disorder. What was the eating disorder? I know there's different kinds. How did it affect you? And you said you were a perfectionist, so you started with this diet to help reclaim your body back after having babies. And can you tell the day that it kind of went to the unhealthy, or is it so gradual you don't know? And what kind of eating disorder did you have?
So it started out as, I'm going to lose this baby weight. And I was following, there's so many diets out there, right? I was following one. And for me, I don't take things on small. Like if I'm going to take something on, I go 100%. So I'm going to go on that, and I'm not going to be flexible. I'm going to follow it to a T, how to eat, how the exercise goes. And the way it would work is you'd eat healthy during the week, and then one day of the week you can binge on anything you want. And so it taught me how to have disordered eating. And I lost a lot of weight. Not even, I mean, I wasn't even that big. I've always been a small person, but I got attention from that. And then I was like, it started to form my identity. This is who I am. And then that fear of, if I gain this back, I'm not going to be me. I'm not going to be loved. And it just slowly went from disordered eating to really restricting what I ate, to binging and then purging, over-exercising. And it's just this cycle. I call an eating disorder a cage. And I assume like addiction, substance abuse is kind of like that. You feel like you're in a cage, and the tension builds and builds and builds until you have to release. And for me, it would be just a binge on food, or, I mean, it just shows up in different ways. But that's why I'm very careful now. Like now it's my strength. Like it's the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
Wow.
The greatest gift that ever happened to me, because I never would have gone to nursing school. I never would be where I am today if I hadn't gone through that. It formed who I became. And during that 10 years, I call it, even with addiction, it's a stunt in growth. You don't grow.
Yeah.
So I basically had it from the age 25 to 35. And that's another shaming thing, is I'm older, right? You always assume it's these teenagers. No, it affects everyone, any age. It's just quiet. Shh. And
Exactly.
it's going on around people around us all the time. It's just no one talks about it, or they just won't acknowledge it.
Well, I think what you said that maybe I identified with is when you said it became my identity, and it became a power to you that you were going to master this and own every single step of it. Mm-hmm. And once you claim something as your identity and claim it as your truth, then you're going to lock it down. Mm-hmm. But I love that even though you claimed it, one day you did have the realization, like, this isn't healthy. Like, what happened? What was the shift to go, no, I have to stop this cycle and make this phone call or look this information up. And not only am I going to get treatment, but I'm going to do something one better. And I love that you leveled it up. It just shows who you are in every aspect. Okay, I can get myself help, but like you said, this is a quiet problem. This affects millions and millions of people. Let me be a nurse. So what was that moment like?
Well, I chose nursing because I had done hair prior. And so that was about the outside image. And I was like, I'm done with the outside image. I want to help people on the inside. And so that's why I chose nursing. But really the turning point is when I started nursing school. I remember I went and visited my mom here in Utah. So I came from Texas to visit her. And I was watching my two kids, they were 5 and 8 at the time, it's like 6 and 9 or somewhere in there, swimming in the pool. And this thought came to me. Sorry, I'm going to cry. And I was 5 years in. I was so sick. I remember thinking, I don't want to live, because I would try and get better and I couldn't do it. And I'd cycle back in, and it was hidden in a secret. And I was so alone. And I remember thinking, you're going to have a baby, and his name is Josiah, and he's going to save your life.
Oh.
And I was like, wow. And it was like someone spoke to me. And I hadn't had a menstrual cycle at that point for 5 years.
What?
So 10 years in, I still hadn't had a menstrual cycle because of the disordered eating and stuff. And I found out I was pregnant 10 years in. And that day I found out I was pregnant, I said, this baby is Josiah, and I will never abuse my body. Ever again. I will not abuse this baby in my stomach ever again. And I never looked back.
Oh my gosh.
It was like my motivation.
Let's just take that whole beautiful story in. You have this very poignant moment, this pivot in your life. You have this gift from the other side. You know, you are going to have a child, which you feel like is impossible. You said 5 years, no cycle. Another 5 years, no cycle. So you knew this was going to happen, but yet it took 10 years. And then this miracle happened. And Josiah is such an incredible, beautiful boy gift. And he really changed the fabric of who you were. And that was the day that you switched your identity and switched who you were.
Yeah.
How big was that? How did that feel?
Oh, it felt like I'd gotten out of prison.
Yeah, because you said you were in that cage and you finally had the key to get out.
Yeah. When you're in it, all you can think about is food, body, keeping yourself isolated. You don't want people to get too close because it's a lie. It's a lie. You stunt your growth. So when you start to heal, it's like all of a sudden you want your voice to be heard. All of a sudden you have needs. All of a sudden you want to be like, I'm awake. And I felt like this weight had lifted off of me. I was so free, and food became something I could enjoy. No fear around it anymore. I used to be so afraid of it. Good foods, bad foods, binging and restricting. And now it's like, I don't even think about it.
Wow.
And that's when I help patients now. I'm like, I want to give you hope. Like, there's going to be a day where you don't even think about it. It's just like, oh, I'm hungry. What sounds good? And because it's so freeing. It was like the most beautiful feeling.
Yeah, when you step out of that cage that has held you so tight, and everything was in the cage, you were safe in there, you were contained, you knew the parameters, the rules, and you played the game really well. But you peek outside the cage and you're like, there's this whole big, beautiful world out there. But you're like, no, we can't do that. And then all of a sudden you realize I have the key, and you get this gift, and the cage opens up and you step outside. I can't imagine the weight, how you felt limitless, and you felt strong, and you could explore in a whole different way than you never had before. I agree with you when you said, hey, when you're having this disorder, that's all you think about. Your next food, what you're going to eat, what you're not going to eat. It does remind me of addictions, and I think about my clients that are going through addiction. That's all they can think about. When's the next drink? How can I get a drink? Where can I hide the drink? Did I go to this store yesterday? I better go to a different store. And if I go to this store, maybe I should get a gift bag so it looks like it's for somebody else. When we are locked in whatever box we put ourselves in, whatever that identity or that label is, it's suffocating. But what you said is you're the one that let yourself out, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it's finding what is the motivation for each person. Everyone has a motivation, like with addictions, and there's something. We just got to figure out what that is.
What their key is to get them out.
Yeah. What is the key that's going to be like, okay, no more. I'm done.
So do you feel like in those situations, being in your current field, being this psychiatric nurse practitioner, did I say that correct?
Yep.
In order to move forward in life, at least in my practice, and I'm sure in yours, you have to take them to the past. They have to look back, because you need to realize the roots that you come from and how strong they are or how weak they are. And recognize 3-year-old Michelle, 16-year-old Sunie, 25-year-old Sunie. do you believe that's true? Do you think that you need to go back and reflect and sit in those moments in order to unlock the cage? Is that part of the process, do you think?
Yeah, I do think so. I mean, there's reasons why I was cultured to be perfect, show on this perfect facade, take on all of that, and always trying to be better, do better, prove my worth, and so that's part of the way I grew up. And I got married at 18. Like, you don't know who you are. Like,
No.
you have no idea.
What were we thinking? I was 19.
I know.
There was the pressure from our culture and our tribe and our family, and religion played a big role in cultivating who we were and giving us this identity and patterns that were passed down to us by people that we loved and that we trusted, our parents. But then one day we realized those patterns were really unhealthy. And I believe that you take all this experience and you take more experience. When you have experience plus experience, you finally get this thing I call wisdom. And once you get wisdom and knowledge, it changes everything. And sometimes I think that's what the motivation is. It's just that you get to finally sit in a position where you have perspective and you're like, no, enough's enough. I'm not doing it that way anymore. I'm not 25. I'm not 32. I'm not even 42. And I'm going to change it.
Yeah, I look at the way I was raised and my culture, my religion, and it did create a lot of safety. And I call it the railroad of safety. He kept me on this railroad of safety. And it's so good for so many reasons, and especially kids. It keeps them on this little, you don't deviate, but you stay very small, you stay very immature, you just be told what to do, and it keeps you safe. And then there comes a point where you've got to veer off, and you've got to go, what do I think about this? What can I critically think? How do I see this? What can I take that's positive? What can I let go and create my own self? Otherwise, you stay as a child being told what to do. You've got to use your own brain to critically think and grow and be uncomfortable.
Oh my gosh, you said that so well. I couldn't agree with you more. Yes, the safety rails, and then one day you have to pivot. You have to go off on your own track. And you have to go into that area where, who am I without the safety rails, and unpack all of that. So you have to push through the past so you can really accept the now. And you have to unpack all of that stuff, all the gifts and programming from a religion or parents or elementary school to create somebody new. And that is brave.
It is very brave. And you're going to have a lot of people not like you.
Yes. And how do you...
And a lot of people judge you.
Yes. For being authentic and for stepping outside of a place that they are not brave enough to step outside of.
And people get uncomfortable with things that don't reflect them. If I don't reflect you...
Ooh, hold on. Say that again. That was good.
If people get uncomfortable when other people don't reflect who they are. So if I'm not reflecting you, like I don't see things the way you see, or I dress different than you, or I have different behaviors, then you make me uncomfortable. So I don't know what to do with you. So I'm either going to put you over here, or I'm going to shame you, or I don't know what to do. And so, and learning that everyone does not have to reflect everyone. Like, we can all be beautiful and different. And I just accept that you're different than me, and I love you. That's what makes us so beautiful.
Oh my gosh. I remember thinking when I was living on the rails with this religion and feeling safe, I thought that I didn't judge people. I thought that I loved unconditionally, and I thought that what I was putting out in the world was kind and pure. And then when I pivoted off that and let myself out of the cage, I realized, and this was hard for me to sit in, like I was using the wrong lens. And when I did step away from that and literally take off the lens of my childhood and those patterns and that religion, how I view people, how exquisite and beautiful and unique and different everyone is. It was like seeing the world for the first time. Did you have that?
Oh,
Tell me
yeah.
about, yeah, it was so freaking powerful. And I cannot even imagine going back into that cage or stepping into those, putting myself on their rails again, because this world is so unfiltered and so pure and so accepting. And I love the differences and the uniqueness and how we can just love. It really boils down to just that. And letting anyone be authentically them. It's super powerful.
And it's, how does it make me feel? You know, being curious and going, does this bring peace? Or does this make me feel yucky? Or does this make me, you know, and it's okay. Does this bring peace? And that's what I teach my patients. There's a lot of them with faith transitions. And I say, you know, just test it a little bit. Go towards it. How does it make me feel? If it doesn't make you feel, go back in. You know your truth. Your truth is inside you. I'm not telling you anything. It is in you and your core. And you'll know as you start to step into things and be curious if it feels
love
right.
That statement. You know your truth. And I think that gets lost. And I think we forget that we do have that inside of us. And it's very much alive. And we need to be allowed to feel that. I love that statement that you need to feel it and that you already know it. And so that's what you guide people to do in your practice, is to get in that space. Are there any tools or techniques that you use to help people feel comfortable feeling something? Because, you know, when you live numb with either food addiction or alcohol addiction, or you're in the cave, you're living really in a numb state. And I know when I got out of the cage, one of the most frightening things for me to experience was really processing my emotions and trying to be even vulnerable with myself. That was freaking hard. I was just like, this is bullshit. Who wants to feel all this? This is what people do? People have all these emotions. That's messed up. You cry over commercials?
What to do now?
What am I supposed to do? I've never. But it is such a power to allow yourself to feel. And now I was thinking, how did I live so numb and so padded? I lived so padded.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people hide from that anxiety, hide from those thoughts, and so they use distractions. And I did that when I first got divorced. I was married 29 years, and that was such an adjustment. And I would just run. I'd go outside, and I called it pounding the anxiety. I would pound it down as I ran. And I couldn't be alone in the house because I didn't know what to do with myself. I'd been married for 29 years at 18. I was like, I don't know what to do with myself. And now I can be home and just enjoy the quiet, enjoy my thoughts. But it's such a, you know, creating that new identity of who am I? What do I believe? And like being okay with my thoughts and finding peace in that, and realizing a lot of people are not going to like me.
And being okay with them not liking
I
you.
have to be okay with that. I had to say every day, multiple times. Are we allowed to say swear words?
Yes. This is an adult.
And I'll even tell this to my patients.
Be real, be authentic.
Okay. I give zero fucks what anyone thinks of me.
Yes.
And I would say that to myself all day, every day.
All day.
Until I didn't care what anyone thought of me. And I'm creating my own life. And if you don't like it and I make you uncomfortable, bye-bye. And I started to draw other people towards me. And then a lot of people stuck around too. A lot of beautiful people stuck around.
Yes. Well, I went through a divorce after 32 years. You went through a divorce after 29 years. You got married at 18. I got married at 19. We had no idea who we were. And we were still in a growth cycle. I didn't know who I was in my 20s, my 30s. And even until my mid 40s, I was still clinging on to so many old beliefs and patterns. And really you get that power when you just give all your fucks away. And I love that. There's a TikTok that I saw, and this guy has this pocket, and every morning he picks up all of his fucks and he puts them in his pocket, and he carries them around so proudly, and he's 20 years old and he's just giving them out to everyone, F you, F you. And the older you get in the morning, when he's picking them up, now in his 30s and in his 40s, he's picking up less and less of those. And then one day he's just like, I don't want any of them. I'm not even going to carry it anymore. And I think people call this a midlife crisis or a faith crisis. I don't believe in that. I believe what happens is you just get experience plus experience plus experience, and you have these big life events: divorce, eating disorder, pregnancy, postpartum, then leveling up, getting an education and wanting more. So with all of these beautiful experiences and all these beautiful stories, you get wisdom. And with wisdom, you can't sit in the same seat anymore. You can't, like you said, be a child anymore. One day you're going to go, oh my gosh, I'm finally a grown-ass woman. It only took me 45 years. That's when I felt like I finally was strong enough to own my own identity and step away and realize I might lose everything. And then it took me another 5 years to really unpack my religion, unpack my former relationship, unpack even how I mothered, and then get really intimate and unpack Michelle and take on everything new. What words I was going to say, what I was going to dress, who I was going to associate. I knew I was going to lose everything, but what was I going to keep was super powerful.
Yes, it is. Like, you think 47, finally figuring out who you are. Yeah, like that's crazy. But you know what? I think a lot of people do it. They just won't own up to it. It takes a long process to really grow into yourself as you age and get all the, like you said, all those experiences to create who am I, and be proud of it, be happy in it, find peace in it.
Really need to grow into it. And it was such a beautiful season. I'm working on level 55, and this season for me started at 45. So it's 10 years that I've been growing and accepting and really cultivating who I am. And the same thing for you. You're new into being divorced, and you have to go through the pain. I like how you said, what did you say about pounding the anxiety? What did you call that?
Down.
Yeah.
I said pound anxiety down.
Yeah, but we need you have to go through all of that. It's a loss. It's like a death. I call divorce a living death because they're still here, but it is just as much grieving as if they're not here, because everything that you planned, the future, being grandparents, all of these things, growing young together or growing old together, however you want to label it, all of it's gone. Retirement, it's all gone. And
I
now,
call divorce the forcing you to grow at warp speed. So,
oh my gosh,
sometimes in marriage you get used to life. You're just like going with the flow. They're your roommate. You're just like life, raising kids. Well, you decide to get divorced. Holy crap. It's humbling. It's like looking you in the mirror like, you don't know what you're doing. You thought you had your shit together. You do not. And let's just make you grow at a warp speed. And you don't have a choice. Here we go.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And even if you try to push it down or run it off or cocoon on the couch or avoid the world, it's not going to happen. The only thing you can do, because it's just you. You don't have that buffer anymore. And that transition was so challenging and overwhelming and much bigger than I ever anticipated. I had no idea. Especially being later in life. I don't know. I'm sure if you got divorced when you're younger in your 20s with little ones, it would feel the same. But being in this season, knowing like, holy shit, I'm responsible for my own retirement now and my own future. Big.
Yeah, It's
Warp
really
speed.
very
I love that. So
and
how
then
did
you try dating when you've
Yeah.
never really dated because you got married at 18,
We
and
didn't know how to date, Sonny.
no
We don't
one
know how to
asks
date.
people out anymore. It's just dating apps, and that's a whole adjustment. Like really, this is how it is out here.
How do you find real connection is so hard in this digital footprint
Mm-hmm.
world where you see a thing. It's like a commercial of yourself, like, hello, and you have to
Yep.
type up your bio. I remember it being in the dating world. And now I'm for my viewers and listeners, I am engaged. I have a beautiful fiance and I've been with him for 2 years. But being in that dating world, it was frightening. It was scary. It was overwhelming. And I didn't like the digital thing. And I didn't really know how to date, but I wanted it to be real and authentic. And it was just so hard just to meet somebody the old fashioned way. It just doesn't happen that way anymore. How do you even navigate dating life?
I think it was a big learning curve, and I think I was very trusting at the beginning, and then learned very quickly that, like, oh, he might not be telling you the truth. Maybe they're telling you what they think you want to hear. But it also forced me to be strong in who I am and realize what I deserve. Like, a man shouldn't be talking to me like this. Like, I just met you. Or, like, no, you need to ask the deeper questions to get to know me. And where's your wisdom? Are you bringing wisdom to the table? Because I'm not dealing with no wisdom. Like, so you have had to gone through
I
hard
worked for
shit.
this wisdom. Where's yours?
Yes.
Where's
Yes.
the gift that life gave you? If
and
life wasn't
that's
giving you wisdom, I don't want to be with you while you're still
yeah,
in a different
and
place.
that's part of the process of, like, dating is a big growth, because you got to know what you're worth, what you're willing to take, what you value, and what you want to present to the other people, and what's your integrity with that, because it is a whole world.
It's a completely different world. And if you don't show up with that kind of guidebook, like, these are my values, these are I will not budge, and this is what I expect from myself. All the things that you're going to give and all the things that you're going to expect before someone can even enter your space. And I feel like at the very beginning of dating, I didn't understand that. And I would say I was desperate and I was lonely. And so I dated a lot of beautiful people, and I'm grateful that I had good experiences, but not all of them were good, obviously. But until I stepped back and went, wait a second, you've been on this journey for 10 years. Stop. Remember who you are. What are your values? What are your hard lines? What are you not going to accept immediately? And I think we use that, I wanted someone who came to the table with wisdom. I wanted someone who's very secure in who they were and that they loved themselves and honored themselves first, and then could honor the relationship that we were growing. And that took growth, because that's not the way I learned to love before. You didn't love yourself first. That's selfish. You love the other person, you serve the other person, you give to the other person. And to step into a relationship where I'm like, no, I worked really hard. I'm valuable. I know what I'm going to give. I know what I'm going to share. I know what I have to offer. And I'm only going to accept the same gift equally if they know who they are, if they know
That
their
is
value.
so true.
And as soon as you step in a space with somebody like that, it's completely different than what I've ever experienced.
Yep. And I think in this dating world, if you don't have that self-worth, that self-love, you'll get eaten alive. And you'll keep attracting not so good people.
No.
As soon as you start saying, I love myself, I know my worth, I know what I bring, all of a sudden beautiful people get drawn to you. And it's crazy how you can just see those people too. Like, all of a sudden you see beauty because you are beauty.
Yes.
From inside out. And it starts to draw towards you.
Yes. You see beauty because you are beauty. What a simple, clean statement, but it's so true. When you turn that lens around and what you're reflecting out is that energy is going to be drawn to you. It makes me think of what car do you drive? What car do you drive, Sunie? What kind of car do you have?
I have a little 2000 Safari Jeep.
And do you see a lot of Jeeps? Let's say when you're on the road, even though it's a 2000, do you see Jeeps very often?
Yeah, I see lots of Jeeps here in southern Utah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a minivan, and I thought everyone drove minivans. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm really kind of maybe a little bit insecure that I'm in my 50s and I'm still driving a minivan. But I'd look around and there I'm like, other people are still driving freaking minivans. These are awesome. Then I traded in my minivan, and guess what I got? A Jeep.
You did?
I don't know where. Yes, I did. I got a Jeep. I leveled up. Yeah, I got a Grand Cherokee. I'm so excited. The 2021. It's new to me. It's beautiful.
Awesome.
And I've been waiting. I've had my Jeep, and I loved it. But I had my minivan for a long time. But I had to release that because there was painful memories of my mama and raising my grandson, and I decided to level. But all I see is Jeeps now. And I remember looking around the parking lot just the other day, and I'm like, where are all the minivans? There's a Jeep, there's a Jeep. Because what we put out, or what we look for, or what we tell our brain to see, that's what we're going to see. And so I'm like, okay, let's just pretend on the way home that I'm a Mercedes. And so all the way home, I found so many Mercedes.
Really?
And it's just a reminder that what you put out and what you tell your brain to see is what's going to come back to you. So if you put out beauty's going to come back. So one of the things that I have my clients do every single morning, because this is a fact, it's scientifically proven that first thing in the morning, when you wake up, we have these thoughts. And we can't control our first thought, but I always say you can control your second thought. So if the alarm goes off and you go, oh, I'm tired, or I want to push snooze, or this is going to be a hard day, that's what your brain's going to look for. Oh, we're going to be tired today. Oh, it's going to be hard today. I don't want to get out of bed. And so you have already set your day up on the wrong path. So I always say, as soon as your feet hit God's green earth or the carpet, relabel it. And all the way to the bathroom when I'm shuffling in, because the bathroom's really important in the morning, I'm relabeling my day and telling my brain where to look, just like my brain knows to look for Jeeps, just like you're telling your brain to look for something beautiful. But I'm telling my brain, today I'm going to be determined, or today I'm going to be strong, or today I'm going to be kind, or today I'm going to be compassionate, today I'm going to look for love, and all the way to the bathroom. And I get in such a habit with this, when people say, well, how are you doing today? I feel determined today. And I use that word, and people are like, oh, that's different. And I'm like, yeah, it's my word today. I'm determined. That's how my day's going. Or I'm happy. So I think it's really important, just those little tiny shifts, saying today is beautiful, so I'm going to see beautiful things. I am beautiful, so I'm going to attract beautiful people into my life, beautiful experiences into my life, beautiful memories into my life, because in this season, that's all that counts, is how I can attract the right experiences, the right memories, and the right people.
That's beautiful. Yeah. It's just like with the eating disorder. When I found out I was pregnant, I will not do this ever again. You know, the power, I mean, that's a huge example, but I just changed my thoughts. It will not happen anymore.
Yeah, but it's true. We need to absolutely own that with our mind. And if you set it in a position, and that's what you did, you changed your mind and you set it. That's why it's called mindset. So you changed it, you pivoted, and you anchored down on that position, and you move forward. Sometimes we think, oh, we can't do it. Get rid of the T. Yes, you can. Just change your mindset set. And look what you accomplished. I mean, when you sit now in your seat and you think, I did finish my education with little kids, and then I know, you said you were a nurse, and then I know later on you went back and you got a different degree because you realized nursing and dealing with these young, tender mothers, I can do more. And that's one example that I always see in your life. You are constantly this beautiful example of leveling up. I have an
That's
eating
right.
disorder. How can I level it up? I'm a
Yep.
nurse. How can I level it up? I'm doing this with my children. How can I level it up? I've seen you do that with your kids, level up even how you love them, how you express love to them, and how you show up for them. That
That's
is one thing I
beautiful.
really respect. You're constantly just, I'm going to level up. And I
You
want
know,
you to know
and
I see that.
I love that because I've had so many people come to me throughout the years and say, how did you do this? How did you get tell me the steps on how you became a nurse. And then I bridged from an RN to a BSN. How did you do that? How did you, and I say, I will give them I will write it down exactly how to make this happen. Like what you need to do step by step.
Sacrifice.
There's only a few people that will ever do it.
Yes.
Because you have to be willing to not know what you're doing, make mistakes, and go in scared to death.
Shitless.
Yes, and you know what? I am just going to get older no matter what. So I might as well go create a beautiful life. What do I want to be when I grow up? I went back to school at 47. What do I want to be when I grow up? I'm going to go be a psych NP. So I'm going to go, and it's going to be scary, and it's going to be hard, and I am going to be petrified, and I'm going to show up every day, and I'm going to do the hard shit because I am going to show up and be whatever I want to be. And you have to let go of that fear. Just go and do it. Do it every day.
I think that's the key. You make the decision, you face the fear, and then you do it every day. And sometimes it's every hour. Like, no, I'm going to get through this class, or I'm going to get through this paper, or I'm going to get through this day. But you have to go through it every single day. That's something I say at the end of every single one of my podcasts. You can't go over it. You can't go under it. You got to go through it. And going through it is doing it every single damn day. And I love that you're like, what am I going to be when I grow up? You're like, I am growing up. I'm 47. No, we're not.
Yeah.
No.
What am I going to do next?
Things happen later in life. So many amazing people created and made the biggest masterpiece in this last season. So for you to go, yeah, what do I get to be when I grow up at 47? I think people need to really go at any age. What do I want to be? Because you can.
That's right.
Absolutely
You
level up.
can. I think people get stuck in their jobs or careers and they hate it. And I'm thinking, well, go back to school. You're going to grow anyways. Go change your life. You know, like right now, there's not a lot of like people that work with hormones and endocrine. And I'm thinking, I'm sitting here trying to refer my patients because that affects our mental health, our hormones. I'm like,
Oh my
why
gosh.
don't I just go? Why don't I just go and get an extra little certificate or, you know, like what's holding me back? I can just go do that, you know? So there's
Which you have proven
always
time
room.
and time again. Yeah, you have proven that. Well, if I need to level up, I'm going to go level up. I think that is something really important. And I was going to touch on that. In fact, it was in my notes, was women's hormones and how that plays a role in our mental health. And so those two pieces, explain that to me in your
They're
understanding
huge.
and why
They're
you're
huge.
maybe leveraging to even explore that.
Because
I
a
think
lot of
it's-
times, like I saw it a lot in like pregnancy, like infertility, right? There's so much going on there. Depression, anxiety, miscarriages, all that. And then you have the hormones of, oh, I'm pregnant. Oh, you're not. Oh, I'm pregnant. Oh, no, you're not. And you drop 200% within a week after having a baby, your hormones, your estrogen, progesterone. And then you got the breastfeeding hormones that kick in, you know, prolactin and oxytocin, and they play such a huge role. So like with women in mental health, usually that week prior to their period, like a lot of times we're basket cases. Like things become so big and then you start your period and you're like, that wasn't that big of a deal, but it was big in the moment. And, you know, and learning to cycle medication to be maybe a little higher during that week. And then we go back down to help like that roller coaster of hormones because they're real. And
they are real. And that is smart
so
medicine.
real.
I haven't heard that before. I've experienced that when I was training for my Ironman. Like this week, I feel like I can just run and run and run. The next week on the same day, if I went out on a run day, I'm dragging ass. I'm like, what in the hell's wrong with my body? And we are taught as well, you just push through it. You just push through it. It's, but if you respect your body and work with your body, maybe change your medicine, add more or take away, it would really honor what women go through. I mean, I know I've had 6 miscarriages. What did that do for my mental health during those young years, having a baby, not having a baby, having a baby, not having a baby. And then finally I couldn't have babies anymore. Like, my body's just like, no, that was a lot of work. We're just going to shut that factory down. And now I'm going into menopause. I had a hysterectomy, but I still have my ovaries and I still feel like these surges, but nothing happens.
Yeah.
So complex.
It is complex.
So many people don't talk about it. And there is this large conversation that needs to happen around women's health and mental health and how they are so
like having those
together.
Those miscarriages, I mean, you learn, I don't even trust my body. Like, I can't trust my body. Like, I keep miscarrying. And then if you did have a baby, I can't trust my body to make milk. Like, it always defaults on me. Yes. And then as you get older and you start putting on weight and you're still exercising, you're still doing things, I'm like, what's going on here? Well, it's because estrogen stores in fat. And if your estrogen's going down into menopause, it's like, well, we need estrogen, so we're going to give you a little tire around your waist. And that's normal. And it's the same with puberty, right? Normal for girls to gain 20 pounds in puberty because it's growing estrogen. But these girls, and that's usually when eating disorders start because of, oh my goodness, what's happening to my body? Well, it's normal. It's your body starting to get curves and start those hormones. There needs to be a lot of education on the hormones and the mental health, like prior to the period. And that's normal. It's okay. Let your people know, hey, this week might be rough. You're going to have to be patient with me.
Yeah. Well, we need to let our bodies function the way they naturally function and not be so hard on judging ourselves. So I love that you said when we're going through puberty, they can gain weight. When you're going through menopause, you gain weight. And this is the reason why. This estrogen, you said it stores the fat.
It stores inside the fat. So it needs a little fat pocket to hold more estrogen to give your body it.
My little Buddha, that's what it's doing. And instead of going, oh my gosh, because now I have this little softer belly that I'm used to, just embrace, well, this is the season I'm in.
Yes.
And then learn things to honor this part of your journey.
Yes.
And be kinder to yourself and be gentle to yourself because it's just your body doing what it naturally needs to do.
That's right.
I think we need to hear that as women.
Yes, your body's like, it just needs some more estrogen. That's just all it needs. And being in tune with ourselves, like you said, well, today I'm tired, so I'm probably not going to go run that 7 miles. Like, I honor myself. I'm going to take a nap today. But today I feel great. I'm going to go and do that. And honoring and being in tune with our bodies and our souls and respecting ourselves. Ourselves.
Yeah, I think that is the key, Sunie, that we got to honor ourselves, trust ourselves, and understand that this is a conversation that's going on inside and really honoring this gift, this body, and how amazing it is, but also trusting and listening to it. Okay, my body says to rest. I'm going to rest. Maybe instead of doing that 7-mile run, maybe we just go for a nice leisurely walk, get some vitamin D therapy, but then come home and take a nap without guilt or shame or ego, because this is where I am. And next week I'm going to conquer the world because my hormones are going to switch. I think if we balance and respect the story that our body's trying to communicate with us, we'd be far more effective and probably happier. I'm assuming the days I listen to my body, it just feels better,
Oh yeah. And that's how I teach people with food, right? And moving their body. What sounds good for breakfast? Well, it might be a slice of pizza. Okay, we're going to honor that. If I wake up at 2 a.m. and I'm hungry, I am going to go eat because I respect my body and I honor my body that I'm hungry. If I go
Yes.
work out and I feel like this is so much, this is too much, okay, well, I'm going to do something different. Like, it's just learning those fullness cues, learning those hunger cues, honoring it. I don't pay attention to time. I don't pay attention to what it is. Just, how does this feel? Does this make me feel good? Does this make me feel satisfied? When I go to a restaurant, I don't look at calories. I look at what sounds the most delicious. That's what
Yes.
I'm looking for. Because then I feel satisfied. And I
Yes.
honor myself.
Well, you are creating a satisfied life, a full life, when you just really honor what your body's telling you. And I think we forget that our body has a conversation and that our body is always trying to communicate with us. And the most important person that we can communicate and learn to trust and create safety and vulnerability with is with our own body. So if our body says, hey, I'm thirsty, and you're like, no, you're not going to get a drink. You don't need a drink. Or I'm hungry. And you're like, no, I'm not. What kind of relationship are you cultivating with your body, with yourself? And so I love that whole conversation that you just had. If it's 2 a.m. and I wake up and I'm hungry because my body said, please feed me, I'm going to trust my body, and my body's going to trust me that I'm going to take care of this need.
That's right.
And that is really important, that we build that kind of relationship with our mind, with our body, and with our spirit. That
Yes.
when you are prompted to have a child because your spirit says, wait a second, Sonny, there's something more for you. You have this beautiful son that's going to come down, and you listen to that and you honored that. I mean, I think that's what we need to do with every single part of us, is learn to understand the language that's being shared with us through our emotions, through our needs, and through the physical manifestations that are coming up.
And I think our bodies are just such a gift. They're such a beautiful, beautiful vessel that holds us. So we have to respect it so much and not cause any harm. Like, how can I love this body more? How can I honor it? How can I listen to it? So
Yeah.
important, because it affects us spiritually, mentally, physically, all of it. We have to honor all of us because it's a gift.
It is a gift. And I love how you said, how can I love it more? So when you were going through those big changes, the eating disorder, do you feel like that you loved yourself less then compared to where you are now, that you've learned to love yourself more? Because if you're really making choices that harm your body, are you really sitting in that seat of self-acceptance and unconditional love for yourself? I mean, what's the difference
Oh yeah,
between when you sit back?
it's just self-harm. Not
Yeah.
eating, right? And like
Yes.
binging is self-harm. It's like
Yeah.
self-harming in any way. Using substances, self-harming. It's saying I don't respect myself, I don't respect my body. I'm using it to deal with some emotions I don't want to deal with. So it's my way of like coping. But yeah, you can't love yourself if you're harming your body. You
And
can't.
so now you do. What's the difference between when you look back at the Sunny that maybe was a little bit more difficult to love or to treat correctly, and now this Sunny that you do love? What do
You
you
know,
see?
I think the biggest thing is I've chosen to do really, really hard things. Like, really hard things that took so much courage to like go against my culture, go against my family, leave the church, get divorced, move out on my own for the very first time, change careers, get a master's degree, all within a couple years. Like, I chose to do really, really, really hard things, and it took so much courage. But now I like look back and go, you did it. Like, you did it. And look at the strong, beautiful woman you are. And I love femininity. I love a feminine, women that honor the femininity and projecting that out into the world. And it's just so beautiful that a woman can be strong and educated and have wisdom and just love herself. And be just a beautiful, looking for ways to love others. And it just is such a beautiful way to live and attract goodness.
I think you said something. It takes courage to go do the hard things, but with that courage, you shattered so many barriers. You crushed so many limiting beliefs. You stepped away from things that felt comfortable and safe, and you were brave enough and courageous. You were courageous enough to go out and live limitless.
Yes.
I am extremely grateful that you honored me with your energy, that you were vulnerable, and that you shared so many amazing nuggets of information. I cannot wait for people to really, I think this is an episode that you need to go listen again. I think you really need to write things down. You shared so many things, your gifts, your talents, and your courage is beautiful. Thank you for being on the show today, my friend.
Thank you for having me. And this is the first time I've ever been public with my eating disorder. Ever.
Let's celebrate
Ever.
that one.
I'll tell my clients, and I just told Josiah yesterday for the very first time why I tell him why he saved my life. So this is a big moment for me to share that out with everyone, and just I'm proud of it because it's made me who I am. So thank you.
You should. It is a massive win. It was a beautiful puzzle piece, and we label these puzzle pieces as hard, but they're not. It was an experience that gave you the nudge that unfolded this beautiful domino effect, and it gave you this gift of Josiah. And there's nothing more priceless than that.
And wisdom, right?
Wisdom.
Wisdom.
It's the little secret weapon in being limitless.
That's right. It's a powerful word.
It is. And I want everyone to use it. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for
I love you.
Sharing that. That is so brave and so courageous. I love you too, my friend. I end every podcast this way. Remember, everyone, you can't go over it. You can't go under it. Let's just go through the bullshit together. Carry on.